Hey guys, today we're going to do some creative journaling in my daily journal. It's just a handmade traveler's notebook, and I'm going to show you guys how I use super fun and light pastel watercolors today on my journal pages as the background. And then I'll show you guys how I create the rest of the pages once I have the background done. I'm going to be using my Koi watercolor paint set, but you don't need to go and buy this one. Just use whatever you have at home. You'll save some money that way, and any watercolor will work. For this journal page, you can already see that a lot of the paint had bled through from the previous page, which I think adds so much character to my journal pages. But also I had stitched in a little scrap piece of cardstock, and it was a little bit of green or aqua with gold, so I wanted to just try to choose colors that would match that plus the bleed through from the previous page. I'm just going to apply the paint to a dry journal page, but if you wanted to try getting your entire journal page completely wet and then putting the paint on there, it will blend and bleed so beautifully. So I definitely recommend trying techniques and different ways of getting the look that you're looking for. And you certainly don't need to paint the entire page like I always do. You can do just little hints of paint on a corner or in the middle or on the side, and just kind of keep it the way you like it. I prefer lots of color in my pages, but it's not necessary. Since I make my own journals, I try to recycle as much as possible, so I made this journal with a whole bunch of envelopes that I received in the mail, some copy paper, grid paper, tracing paper, and even in some cases I used some plastics, just so I could try to recycle but also have a variety of different paper in my journal. But really any journal will work, and if you don't mind a little bit of bleed through, that's even better. I wasn't too sure about adding the yellow watercolor paint, but I'm really glad I did because it looks awesome with the pink, and you can't really tell until I dry the pages, but the green is actually a little bit of a metallic paint and it looks so pretty. This grid paper is very thin, and as you can see, the page is already completely wet, which I love, and it actually didn't even go through to the other side, but if it did, I wouldn't mind. It's pretty wet, but I'm gonna dry it and see what it turns out like. Here you can really see how the colors have blended and how bright the colors actually ended up being, which I love. And then you can finally see the little bit of shine in the metallic green. And also you don't need to have this heat tool to dry your journal pages. I used to use a hair dryer all the time and before I bought this tool, so just whatever you have, try to use that, and you can always just let it air dry as well. This is one of the envelopes that I received in the mail, so I just stitched it in. So it has a lot different texture, and I love the pattern on the background. So I'm just gonna paint it entirely like I always do and see how it goes. Creative journaling is so much fun for me. I use it as a memory keeping tool, as a daily journal, and even my travel journals. And I think once you start journaling like this with a creative mind and just kind of being open to anything, you really will start finding your style soon enough. It did take me quite a while because I like to explore every single thing out there. So oftentimes I get caught away with all the other things and then I don't narrow it down. But honestly, I love being like that, and I really do recommend trying it yourself. And if you want to try something like markers, acrylic paint, watercolor, really anything, definitely go for it. You have nothing to lose and you have so much creativity to gain from it. I don't know about you guys, but I love the sound of crinkly paper. When you turn the page and you hear that like crinkly sound, oh my gosh, it sounds so good. So now that my journal pages have a background and it's completely dry, I'm going to start journaling. My style is kind of different for each journal. So this is my daily journal. So I'm just going to do a ton of writing, some collaging, some stickers, adding a bunch of photos, and just things that happen throughout the weekend or the day, things like that. So I have a different journal for everything, but this is my daily journal. So I keep it super light and fun. I love adding pockets into my journals and also tip-ins. So the pockets are great for little tickets, ephemera, even little packagings that you get in the mail or things that happen throughout the day. Sometimes even receipts are great for these pockets too. And today I'm going to use a little scrap piece of acetate that I had, and I'm just going to cut it to size to make a little pocket on the insert that I had stitched in. But you can use anything. You can use paper as a pocket. You can use plastic packaging and recycle it and make it into a little pocket. You can even use a photo or a postcard as the pocket as well. I'm going to have a video very soon about all the things that you can use as pockets and just examples of everything, because I have a ton of examples for you guys. So just to give you more ideas, and I love watching journaling videos, so hopefully you guys get a little bit of inspiration from these as well. I'm just taping down the little pocket that I'm adding with some clear tape that I bought at the dollar store. I really don't mind if it's acid-free or not. Sometimes acid-free things can be a little too expensive, and honestly none of my journals have yellowed yet, and I've been journaling for many years. I think the only one that has yellowed, and it was because I was using this really neon bright yellow, orange, and pink paper, and the tape kind of went yellow underneath it, but honestly that's the only one I can remember that has really yellowed. But even if it did, I don't mind. I like the look of aging things, and it makes a little bit of character in your journal. So honestly, I don't mind, but you can totally use whatever you want. You can use washi tape as well. Sometimes the washi tapes don't stick down as well as the clear tape. So sometimes I'll even just add the washi tape over the clear tape. But yeah, you can just use whatever you like. I'm just adding a few clear stickers. I love the look of clean lines over the top of something really bright so it can kind of pop through. You can use stamps if you don't have any clear stickers. I love the clean lines so much. Sometimes on my journal pages, if the page or the background is too pretty and colorful, I won't even journal on it. I won't cover it at all. I might add a little clear or transparent sticker over it just to have a little bit of something on the page, and then I'll move on to the next one because sometimes they're just too pretty to use, but that's just me. And then here I'm just gonna cut out some of the photos from the weekend that I had that I was journaling about, and I printed this on a really nice piece of paper. This is the paper that I use for my Etsy shop. I love the quality, and it's very matte, but it's so nice. So I just printed some of the photos off of my phone onto an 8.5 by 11 paper, and then I'm just cutting them out. And I'm gonna do a little backs of them as well, so that there's a photo on the front and the back too. And then some of them will be little tip-ins, and then some will go into the pocket. You can develop your photos any size you want if you go to an app that has a grid. Even I think most phones have a built-in grid that you can do that with. But I use a couple different apps, and I just create all the different sizes I want. I think it's super fun when you have different size photos in your journals. If you have seen any of my videos, you'll see that I love even the ones that are 1 inch by 1 inch. They're so fun to use, and they're very tiny, but it looks awesome on a page. Especially Traveler's notebook pages. They're very small, so it looks so cool, in my opinion. But you can do whatever you want. Sometimes even 4x6 photos are really awesome in smaller journals too. It looks really cool to have like most of the page be a photo in a memory. So I really like doing that too. The double-sided tape that I'm using is also from the dollar store, and this one happens to be acid-free, which is awesome, but it's $1.25, so you can't really go wrong with it, and they last quite a long time. I have used, since I'm using just regular paper on this one, you can totally just use a glue stick as well, which would last you probably even longer. It's a little bit more messy, but you can totally do whatever glue you have as well. I don't recommend using a really wet one though, because it will kind of make your photos a little bit bumpy. But this double-sided tape is one of my favorite must-haves for sure. I have tons of it and I use them, I think, in every single journal page. So it's definitely worth the $1.25 for the big roll I have there. In those photos, you can see a dinosaur head with these gigantic ears. It was actually a project that I took on for my brother. His little girl wanted a furry dino mask, so I don't really know what they are, but apparently when you put it on and you open your mouth, like the dinosaur mouth will open as well. And anyways, I have no idea what the heck it is, but I looked them up online to see what we could do for her, and they were so expensive, so I told him that I would take the project on and just make her one. Well, let me tell you, it has literally been like such a long process, and I have no idea what I have no idea how to even make one. So I'm almost done now. Finally, it's taken a couple months, but I hope she loves it. I put a lot of energy and time into it, so hopefully it's worth it. But that's definitely a never again project. That is one I should have never taken on, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a costume designer or anything, so yeah, at least I know how to do it now if I wanted to, but it's definitely a never again project for sure. So here I noticed that the ink from my ballpoint pen was kind of smudging a little bit. So I'm just taking a paper towel and dabbing it so it won't go onto the really fun little backgrounds. I don't want to see all the inks on there. So I'm just dabbing it a little bit with paper towel to kind of prevent that. Here I'm just playing with the placement idea of where I want to put the larger photo, and I'm actually going to make it a tip in as well, so it'll flip in and out. Sometimes I'll make it flip up, but this one's going to flip out. And then I also love when I just take a photo and I glue it down and then it kind of goes over the edge of the paper, and then I'll just cut the edge off. I super love that look, but for this one I really never go in with a plan. I just kind of wing it and see whatever I come up with. Since my journal pages are always really bright, the way I kind of separate the photo from the background is by using little white borders, or black ones as well, mostly white. And sometimes I'll just make the photo with the border, but if I don't have a border on the photo, I'll just use copy paper and then glue the photo on there with a little border. I always try to work with two pairs of scissors. One I'll use for anything that has anything sticky on it, and then the other one will just be for photos or paper. And if you use a pair of scissors that has any little sticky stuff on it, it'll transfer over to your photo. So that's why I always try to keep it separate. And I'm just using very inexpensive scissors that I got at the dollar store. The gold one is my favorite though. All these photos are photos of my nieces playing at my mom and dad's old house, which my little sister lives in now, and it's out in the country, and it's such a beautiful property, and we had such a great family day. So that's just what I'm journaling a little bit about here. And yeah, I think it's such a great way to capture your nieces and nephews growing up, or if you have kids as well, to just grab a journal and stick some photos in it and do a little bit of journaling. It's really cool to look back on my little nieces and nephews when they were really, really little, and what I wrote and what they were saying, what they were doing. It's really such a cute idea. Sometimes when you print your photos, they're not always the best. This is where I definitely recommend adding a little hidden pocket or just a regular little pocket and putting those photos in there. Once you have a couple years past and you flip through your journals, you're going to be so thankful that you kept those photos, and it'll just take you back to that day or that memory. I took a screenshot of The Biggest Little Farm. It was a documentary that I recently watched, and I absolutely loved it, and I was just going to do some journaling about it. And if you haven't seen that documentary, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite ones that I've ever watched. Here I'm still just playing around with the layout a little bit. For that little tip in, I didn't want to cover the whole thing because I really like the color blending of the background, so I found that really tiny photo that I'm just going to use on the corner there, just so that I can keep most of the background on that little tip in. And then this photo is a photo of my little sister's new kitten. It's missing one eye, and it's just the sweetest, cutest little thing, and she's gonna just love it so much. I'm so happy for her. Her other one got really old and passed away, but she's so happy with this one, and it's the cutest thing ever. Here are some more of my transparent stickers, and I thought I would use the heart over the background of that little tip-in with the little photo. This way I can still see the color, but it will add a really nice touch to it. If you don't have any transparent stickers, you can totally just have a photo and then photocopy it, and then you can just transfer it onto your page by just adding a little bit of glue to the photo once it's photocopied, and then kind of putting on your paper and then ripping the back off. I do have a video, I think, of one where I show you guys how to do that. If not, let me know if you want me to do a video on it. I can totally do one, but that's another option as well if you don't have any transparent stickers. You can never have enough stickers, so I wanted to use one of the little colorful heart ones next to or near the little kitten, and I'm just going to play around with placement before I stick it down. Here I'm just going to flip back to the other page and just see if I can get any inspiration, just so I can kind of keep the page linking from one to the next. And I forgot I was using a whole bunch of flowers on the other one, so I'm going to try to incorporate more of the flowers over on this page as well. These transparent stickers look so good on top of my writing and with the colorful background, and this is exactly why I love transparent stickers so much. I cannot stop looking at that first page. I really like how the colors all blended together, and I think the color choices were so perfect. I haven't used pastels in a while, even though it's a little bit highlighter. It turned out kind of pastel-y, and I'm so happy with it. I really like how it all came together. Adding a few more stickers. I can definitely kind of overdo it sometimes once I get started, but honestly I just kind of go with the flow and try to just put things where I feel like they should go, or whatever my gut says, just go with the flow kind of thing. But it's all fun and it's all part of the creative process. I'm so excited to finish this journal off. Hopefully I can do it in the next month or so, and then I can do a flip through of it for you guys. And I'm very excited. I love the colors on this one. It's probably one of my favorites out of all the ones I've completed already. I have a ton of flip through videos on my channel, and here's a video that you can watch on how to do creative backgrounds with your markers. It's definitely a really good one to watch, and it's a great idea for inexpensive ways to create color in your journals.